sure what that symbol means.
We have a couple of new characters that we're really excited about.
It means anarchy.
The first is another villain. We're going to bring in the Batman villain, Anarky. He's going to be a lot like Damian in that he's also very sociopathic, but we're going to get the opportunity to really see the birth of a villain. We're going to really see what happens. Why does Lonnie Machin become Anarky? What happens to him? And the cool thing about it is we're going to set it up so that it really is Oliver and to some extent Thea's fault that Lonnie Machin goes the direction that he goes. And Lonnie will also blame Damian for a lot of what happens to him. So he's going to actually be an interesting character in that he's opposed to both our big bad and to our hero.
Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So there's some new Arrow footage that focuses a lot on Anarky, so I'm going to do a breakdown for his character and then explain what Arrow might be changing about the character. They always do like their version of comic book characters that are usually true to the comics, but then kind of take it off in a different direction. It's like the way Laurel Lance is actually the Black Canary from the comics, but they had a canary before that was Sarah Lance, so that, they change minor things, but relatively speaking, this will be a little bit closer to the New 52 Anarky. There have been a couple different characterizations for him in the comics going way, way back. There was even a period after 9/11 in the United States when DC just kind of like quietly put him on the shelf as a character. They're like, okay, we don't need too many characters espousing this kind of philosophy. But I mean, obviously he came back during the New 52. As Wendy Miracle said, this is going to be something of an origin story for the character, and thankfully I'm actually really excited about this. Both Oliver Queen, Team Arrow, and Damien Darhk, the villains, will be responsible for Anarky becoming Anarky. It's kind of like Oliver Queen being responsible for the creation of Deathstroke with the Mirakuru storyline during Season 2. So Heroes Derp push Anarky down a dark path, Damien Darhk pushes his will on Anarky, also pushes him down a dark path. And like she said, just because Anarky is going to be working with Damien Darhk doesn't mean that he's going to end up liking him. Like he'll end up fighting against Damien Darhk too. So he'll kind of be like this third force off by himself. So going back in the comics, just a quick origin story for the character. The original version of Anarky was named Lonnie Machin, and he was actually a 12-year-old child. Batman fought against him, but because Lonnie used other agents like other homeless men to fight for him, it took Batman a little while to figure out that he was a little kid. Lonnie would like write in and correct newspapers and generally act through other agents. He was like the original angry internet commenter. Back when the internet didn't exist, people would write into newspapers to complain about stuff. I'm sure there's still a lot of people that do that. But eventually Batman defeats him. Lonnie is sent to a juvenile detention center. He didn't have any special powers or anything like that. He just had a really quick wit and a strong philosophy. The character had his own title for a little while called Batman Anarky, and then just like an Anarky standalone title. But because of 9/11 and because the character wasn't super popular, DC canceled the title. They're very quick to do that when things aren't going well. They actually axed a whole bunch of like the new titles that they just rolled out. Then in 2008, they were looking for new villains to put in a Tim Drake title, in a Robin title. They wanted to bring Anarky back, but they wanted like a new, more hardcore version of the character, so they had Ulysses Armstrong take the title from Lonnie Machin, and Lonnie Machin took the name Money Spider, so it was kind of like handing off the mantle. There was a cartoon series called Beware the Batman on Cartoon Network where Anarky showed up. They wanted to use him as more of a Moriarty character, so it invoked a lot of detective Batman versus just like, punching, kicking Batman. If you played the Arkham Origins game, Anarky was a part of that too. Then during the New 52, they introduced a new version of the character that was African American briefly before they retconned everything. They actually never revealed his true identity either. And then finally, post New 52, they introduced a character named Sam Young that took the mantle, and he was more of a corrupt politician, so it's a slightly different characterization on Anarky. So I think that's the closest thing to the version we're going to see on Arrow. But just in general, combining a lot of things from Anarky's history in the comics, albeit coming from the world of politics. As you can see right here, he's actually standing right next to Jerry Ryan. She's actually showing up in an episode called The Candidate, so I'm wondering if The Candidate also refers to Anarky's character. So don't be surprised on the TV show if when we first meet him, he's just like a normal person with some really strong ideas, and Damien Darhk tries to co-opt him. He doesn't have any superpowers or anything like that, but he is a child prodigy, at least the original version of the character, so they might give some of those aspects to the Arrow version. They are being nice though and giving this character, this Anarky character, the Lonnie Machin name. So when we meet him, we're just going to meet Lonnie Machin and he will slowly become Anarky. I don't know if he's a series regular, but I do think that he will make it to the back half of the season. It's just that sometimes they introduce villains that they deal with like in the first couple of episodes or like the first half of the season, and then they introduce some new villains the second half. There's Komodo, who barely showed up at all last year, and then you have overarching villains that get developed through the entire season like Slade. And actually, just to clarify, that was a bit of a special case. Slade was present in the flashbacks and in present day. They're actually changing the way they do the flashbacks. It's going to be like its own storyline. Thematically, it's going to line up with what's going on in present day. Like it'll all make sense together. This is one big story between past and present. But largely, it's going to be its own self-contained story with different characters. Stephen Amell said something funny about it recently. He just said they're being very secretive about their flashback scenes, so I'm guessing they're using some pretty big characters. They've announced some of the minor villains, but I'm really hoping that we get to see Carol Ferris. Like, that's the big rumor, but that remains to be seen. That's just a theory at this point. And there's actually still a lot of talk going on about the new Firestorm from yesterday. So obviously he's going to be like a Jason Rush type character. They're going to do the handoff, but they might actually be doing a different version of the character. Even though they're calling him Jay Jackson, his bio reads like New 52 Jason Rush. So it's a little bit confusing now, but like once we see the first couple episodes, it'll completely explain everything. That's why I'm always so happy when the shows finally come back, just because you actually get to see what they really ended up doing. Most of the biggest people will be introduced to those episodes. The only exception is going to be Vandal Savage. He's actually not going to get his big introduction until episode 8 of Flash and Arrow, like the big crossover. They're filming that right now, like as we speak. Stephen Amell said they had 200 extras on the set the other day. For a TV show on the CW, that is a shitload of extras. So whatever they're doing, it's going to be huge. And they're all dressed in finery. Let me know though, why do you think that everyone is dressed so nicely? Like what are these scenes that they're filming are? And remember, this is the Arrow Flash crossover. While you guys theory craft on that, I will say congratulations to Malik Twan. You win the Reverse Flash ring giveaway this week. Next week, because it's special, it's the premiere, I'll give a couple extra away. Normally it's one giveaway per fandom per week, but whenever there's like a premiere or finale, I try to beef it up. So lots of swag. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. There's so much exciting stuff that's going to be happening this year. While you guys wait for my next video to post, you can click here to watch the Arrow and Flash trailers that I posted like 3 or 4 or 5 more times. And you can click here to catch up with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from last night. They just aired episode 1. Guardians of the Galaxy references, a little bit of Doctor Strange, Avengers, Age of Ultron, all kinds of crazy Marvel stuff. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.